The humiliation began before Prince Harry and Meghan Markle even placed one foot back in Britain. Their return from the United States to the United Kingdom was supposed to look like a controlled royal reset, a carefully managed comeback, maybe even a quiet victory after 6 years of American reinvention. Instead, the announcement detonated on live television. And what came back at them was not sympathy, not applause, not the warm embrace they may have expected, but open mockery from both sides of the Atlantic. The most brutal part was not that presenters laughed. It was that the laughter...
I can see it in your eyes. I know why you're happy today. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are going back to England. I tell you, that ice doesn't around, huh? It's not that. This was Harry's idea. He wants to be closer to the family that's not speaking to him. And I think...
sounded like relief. Suddenly, Harry and Meghan were not being welcomed home. They were being publicly handed back. Bill Maher moved first, and his reaction instantly changed the temperature of the entire story. He did not treat the Sussex return like a sad family chapter or a complicated royal reconciliation. He framed it like America had just received good news. When he said it was his happiest day for America because the Duke and Duchess of Sussex would be going back to the United Kingdom.
Good evening. So, Harry and Meghan are coming back to Britain. I wonder how they'll be getting here. My money is on a small boat across the channel. Think about it. It all makes sense. They could virtue signal about helping poor refugees. They could get more taxpayer-funded handouts. And they wouldn't even have to work, would they? And they'll be given a house. Although the rumours are that they've already found themselves a lovely place in the Cotswolds. In fact, apparently, Jay-Z and Beyonce own some land there. And we know how Harry and Meghan feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce, don't we?
The insult landed like a national punchline. That was the first clue that the Sussex brand had shifted from royal controversy to public exhaustion. For years, they presented themselves as victims escaping a cruel institution. Now, one of America's loudest comedians was practically celebrating their exit. And that is where the real danger began. Because Bill Maher was not just mocking a couple. He was exposing a collapse in public status.
Today, 2 important self-deportations that can unite all of America. This is the first thing we've been able to agree upon in over a decade. Meghan and Harry are leaving. Praise Jesus. They're going. Get back to the UK. Go become somebody else's problem. We're sick of you. We have enough weirdos, narcissistic, obsessed Americans already. The country's full. It's saturated. Go home, Harry. We never wanted you here to begin with.
Harry and Meghan once arrived in California with Oprah, Netflix, Spotify, celebrity dinners, humanitarian language, and the promise of a new global empire. They were meant to become royal rebels with Hollywood power. But 6 years later, the live television reaction made them look less like pioneers and more like guests who had overstayed their welcome. Every cheer, every laugh, every sharp line carried the same hidden message. America had watched the experiment, measured the result, and decided the Sussex magic was gone. Then, Megyn Kelly entered the story, and the humiliation escalated from comedy into something colder. She did not simply joke about Harry and Meghan leaving. She treated their departure like an event that could unite Americans. According to the script, she praised the heavens over what she called the most important deportation that could bring the country together, comparing the moment to Independence Day because Harry and Meghan would finally be leaving American soil. That line was devastating because it flipped their entire narrative. They once positioned America as freedom. Now America was being portrayed as the country celebrating freedom from them. The most damaging part of Megyn Kelly's response was the accusation underneath the joke. She argued that in 6 years, Harry and Meghan had added no meaningful importance or economic benefit to the country that took them in. That was not just an insult. It was an audit. It placed their entire post-royal project on trial. What had they truly built? What had they contributed? What had survived beyond interviews, accusations, documentaries, and headlines? The Sussexes had spent years selling emotional revelations as cultural influence. But now, live television was asking whether the product had expired. And while American television was laughing them out, British television was waiting at the door. GB News was never going to let this moment pass quietly. The channel dedicated an entire segment to Harry and Meghan's return, and the presenter came out swinging with the argument many in Britain had already been whispering. These were the same two people who left the United Kingdom dramatically, told the world how toxic and unbearable it was, built an entire brand around escaping royal life, and now appeared to be tiptoeing back through the back door. That contradiction became the central scandal. This is where the story became bigger than relocation. GB News was not just mocking a move from California to Britain, it was questioning the honesty of the last 6 years. If the United Kingdom was truly unbearable, why return? If the royal institution was truly so damaging, why move the children closer to it? If Britain represented pain, disrespect, and danger, why suddenly choose British schools, British countryside, British attention, and British relevance again? Every mile back toward the United Kingdom created a new contradiction, and every contradiction made their old statements look heavier. Then came the comparison that the internet seized like evidence. A panelist compared Harry and Meghan to a rebellious teenager who storms out of the house, convinced they can survive alone, only to creep back when the money runs out and the fridge is empty. The image was cruel because it was simple. Harry left declaring independence. He had Netflix. He had Spotify. He had Oprah. He had California. He had the full machinery of celebrity America waiting for him. But now, 6 years later, the deals are gone, friends are stepping back, and the children are reportedly enrolled in British schools. That was the moment the roast turned into a verdict. The royal family became the milk, and Harry, according to the panelists' brutal metaphor, had crawled back for a feed. Behind that insult was the entire power shift. Harry and Meghan tried to leave the royal institution behind because they believed they could build something bigger outside it. But their return suggested the Grand Montecito experiment had not delivered what was promised. The TV host framed the move as an admission of failure, a return with bowed heads of shame. And suddenly the Sussexes were no longer controlling the narrative. Now the Cotswolds entered the scandal, and even the location became evidence. Reports suggested Harry and Meghan were settling there, a place famous for some of the finest restaurants and most celebrated food culture in the country. Michelin-starred chefs have operated in that region for decades. Yet Meghan was arriving with the energy of fruit platters, pretzel transfers, and a Netflix show about cutting pineapples. The contrast was brutal. California lifestyle branding was about to collide with English countryside tradition, and nobody in the Cotswolds seemed prepared for what Meghan Markle might bring next. Then came the jam, and somehow, the jam became a symbol of the entire collapse. Meghan had been selling small jars at premium prices to wealthy California fans, but Britain was never going to be impressed by ribbon-wrapped preserves. British households had been making their own jam long before Meghan was born. So the question became sharper. What exactly was she going to do all day in the Cotswolds? Practice dance moves? Work on Spare 2? Beg Netflix to host another comeback? The woman once branded as a global entrepreneur was now being reduced to jam, fruit platters, and free time. The jokes only became sharper when attention shifted from image to money. According to the discussion, Harry is probably already sitting somewhere writing Spare 2, while another documentary about the family's return could also be under consideration. The assumption itself revealed how dramatically perceptions had changed. Once, every new Sussex project was marketed as an opportunity to tell their truth. Now, critics assumed every new announcement existed simply to generate another paycheck. Netflix hovered over every conversation like an invisible judge. Some believed the streaming giant would probably pass this time, while others argued Harry and Meghan would eventually find another buyer, because at this stage, anything capable of printing money might be considered. But underneath every theory sat one impossible question that nobody around the Sussexes seemed capable of answering. If Britain was truly so toxic, so damaging, and so unbearable that leaving became the only option 6 years earlier, what exactly changed? That mystery was becoming more dangerous than the move itself. That contradiction continued growing larger with every comparison. Harry spent years telling the world Britain had become impossible. He wrote a tell-all memoir. Together, he and Meghan gave interviews describing pain, betrayal, and institutional failure. Their Netflix documentary transformed private family disputes into global entertainment. Every chapter, every episode, and every public appearance reinforced one message: leaving was necessary for survival. Yet now they were reportedly moving back quietly, with 2 children, and, as critics repeatedly mocked, little more than a jar of jam. Suddenly, 2 competing versions of reality existed at the same time. Either Britain had fundamentally changed, or the original narrative no longer matched the present decision. Viewers were left wondering which story they were expected to believe. The possibility of Spare 2 only intensified that suspicion. Critics immediately imagined another memoir, another documentary, another commercial project built around royal access. That possibility transformed the return into something far more strategic. Was Britain becoming home again? Or simply the setting for another chapter of profitable storytelling? If cameras eventually followed Harry and Meghan through the English countryside, critics would inevitably argue the return itself had become content. Instead of escaping royal life, they could once again be monetizing it. That possibility kept surfacing because every previous commercial success had relied, in one form or another, upon the royal family remaining central to the narrative. And nowhere did that concern appear stronger than in relation to Prince William. According to the discussion, this is the part that supposedly makes William's blood boil. Harry spent years airing what critics described as every piece of royal dirty laundry he could find. There was the memoir, there were the interviews, there was the Netflix documentary. Private disagreements became international headlines. Family conversations became best-selling material. Palace tensions became streaming content. Critics argued Harry washed everything in public before hanging it out for the world to examine. Now, after all of that, the perception was that he wanted to return and somehow expect the same institution to help repair the damage. That accusation carried consequences far beyond one family disagreement because it questioned whether trust could ever realistically be rebuilt. Finally, attention shifted to timing, because timing often reveals what public statements never do. According to the script, Harry and Meghan did not reportedly return because everything was going perfectly. They did not come back simply because they missed the English countryside. They did not return because they suddenly wanted a different lifestyle. Critics argued the move followed disappointment rather than triumph. The American dream they had presented to the world had not delivered the future many expected. That interpretation transformed the return into something much larger than a relocation. It became a symbolic judgment on 6 turbulent years outside the monarchy. And perhaps that is why the reaction on live television spread so quickly. Bill Maher celebrated. Megyn Kelly mocked. GB News questioned every contradiction. A panelist compared Harry and Meghan to a rebellious teenager returning home after discovering independence was harder than expected. The internet amplified every comparison, every insult, every theory. Whether fair or unfair, those reactions combined into a single narrative that the Sussexes could no longer easily control. Instead of dictating the next chapter, they appeared trapped inside one written by everyone else. But one mystery remained untouched. If Britain truly is becoming home again, what happens when the palace, Prince William, the British press, and the public all begin responding not to the announcement but to the reality of Harry and Meghan living there once more? That answer has not yet arrived, and it may become the biggest royal confrontation of all.